Hey, it's African Clay Go here, back again with another podcast. So, today we're going to be talking about what are the risks of eating clay. So, before I go into the research that I did, I'm just going to give what I've experienced and what I've seen are the risks of eating clay. So, let's get started. All right, so the risk of eating clay, I would say definitely iron deficiency. I've also heard a myth that says that, clay actually helps with iron, but I beg to differ because it definitely didn't help me with my iron deficiency. In fact, it actually, how can I say, accelerated, if that's a thing. It accelerated my anemia and, ended me up in hospital. But obviously, clay wasn't the only thing, but definitely it played a part, a really big part in my health because I remember when I was younger, I actually remember suffering from anemia, but I did not. It wasn't because I was eating clay, because where I used to live, how I used to live, I really wasn't in an area where you could just eat clay or just go buy clay. So there were a lot of things that contributed to me being anemic. So now that I was introduced to clay, it actually just added on. It really didn't like help anything, or it didn't bring much benefits to my health. So that was my experience with eating clay. So now when you see me, doing clay videos, chewing videos, um, I feel like I found a way to eat it and to enjoy eating clay without actually swallowing it and, you know, yeah, without going through the whole process of chewing and eating it. So, what I've noticed is I just love the crunch sound. I love crunching things in my mouth. So, for me, that's just a pleasure. I enjoy that. But I noticed that I don't eat it because it doesn't bring any kind of benefit to my health. So there's no need for me to eat clay. One thing I've also noticed, I don't know if I could put it as a health risk. I would say it definitely messes up your skin. I've noticed I don't know if it happened to me, but maybe, but it's hard to really tell if that was the reason. But it definitely it messes up your skin. Your face color could start changing. You might find yourself having a lot of acne and all sorts of things. So clay might not just be the only reason, but it definitely accelerates. So I feel like clay just accelerates whatever you already have going on. It just actually adds more to that. So yeah, just to sum it up, in a quick little story, but yeah, that's pretty much how I view the risk of eating clay. So I wouldn't like encourage anyone to like, make it a habit. I don't encourage people to swallow the clay because it's not food, right? So I don't think that's something you should actually make a priority. But I feel like it's actually a luxury. Like you get to chew it, you get to spit it out because you pay for it, right? So you're paying just for the taste and the pleasure in your mouth, but definitely not to eat it because there's no benefits to it. So that's my take on it. So getting on to my research, excuse me. So some people who are anemic also eat dirt, right? So as do some pregnant women worldwide. Because I've noticed this thing is actually worldwide. I only thought this was like an African thing. So in fact, many pregnant women often crave dirt, possibly because of the potential protection dirt can provide against some toxins and parasites, according to the research. So although many people link to Pica cravings to a number of health benefits, it's also associated with a range of health issues. So eating dirt, especially over a long period of time, can increase um, risk for a number of problems, including parasites, heavy metal poisoning, uh, hyperkalemia, gastrointestinal problems. And also, one thing that I can add to that is definitely heavy period flows. Like if you've noticed, um, like when you eat clay, especially when you're closer to your cycle, it actually somehow just accelerates the flow and then it just gets out of hand. So I've noticed there's a lot of heavy bleeding that, eating clay could actually like contribute to your cycle. So I don't think that's actually a good thing to eat it whilst you're on your cycle, because you don't know how your body's gonna like react to that, right? All right, so continuing. So why do people crave dirt? So cravings for dirt can develop for a number of different reasons, right? So for pica, if you have pica, an eating disorder in which you crave a variety of non-food items, you may have the urge to eat dirt. Other common pica cravings include pebbles, clay, ash, cloth, paper, chalk, hair. Okay, so I can definitely relate to this because I used to eat chalk before I started really going into clay. Just the smell of the dust. I don't know what it is about the dust, but something about that smell just calmed me down. It just brings good memories, and it's an addictive smell. And somehow chalk, I was just drawn to chalk, but I would never really like swallow it. But I would really love the smell of dust and just the crunchiness and the dryness that you experience when you like chew chalk and stuff like that. All right, so pica can co-occur when with conditions such as schizophrenia and a whole lot of big words. Let me actually find a way to pronounce this one. Trichotillomania or schizophrenia, but it doesn't always involve in separate mental health diagnosis. Though pica isn't fully understood, research suggests it could develop as a response to nutrient deficiencies. In some cases, pica cravings may go away once you consume enough iron or other missing nutrients. If getting the necessary nutrients doesn't help, therapy can help address pica and any underlying concerns. So here's a myth that, I guess a lot of people believe across the world. So eating dirt as a part of cultural practice or because other people in your family or community also eat dirt differs from pica, right? In this instance, there's a clear reason for eating dirt. For example, some believe eating dirt can or clay can help improve stomach issues, of which you know, I don't know. It's 50-50 with me on that one. All right. The other point is soften skin or alter skin tone. If you use it as a clay mask, but I don't think ingesting it actually like would help your skin or anything like that. All right, the next point, or it can offer protective benefits during pregnancy. I don't have a child, so I wouldn't know the journey of people that eat clay during pregnancy. All right, so the last point is prevent or treat illness by absorbing toxins. So I can definitely agree with the last point because I do believe clay absorbs toxins, but then I don't feel like it should be taken in like that. Like, I don't think you have to swallow it and all that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit, but I don't think it should be like an ongoing thing for a long period of time. So I think there needs to be a balance, or else, you will start experiencing health issues for no reason. So I feel like if there is a healthy balance of how you ingest or take in clay, then maybe that could help you. But a lot of people, one thing I've also noticed is there's a lot of people that have been in clay for a long time, for years, and they don't experience any health complications because I think they found something that works for them. I think they have a routine that helps them make sure that their body doesn't go into any kind of illness or whatever. So those are people definitely like I would want to like study more on and get to really understand how their body can handle that kind of way of living, of ingesting clay a lot like that. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. All right, so now I want to bring it back. So I want to explain more. I wouldn't say like more into detail, but I just want to explain more about anemia, like the risks of, anemia, especially when you're eating clay. All right, so cravings for dirt might indicate anemia, but eating dirt won't necessarily improve your symptoms. It's important to talk to a doctor and have your blood checked so you can get the right nutritional supplements. So some research also suggests that pica can interfere with your ability to ingest necessary nutrients. Since clay in your stomach may bind to iron, zinc, and other nutrients, in other words, eating clay could increase your risk of anemia. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it on anemia. So, if you do have anemia, I think a better way of eating clay, like I mentioned in the beginning, is just to chew it and spit it out. I don't feel like if you already have anemia, now you got to go heavy into clay. So if you still feel like you have that addiction, there's nothing wrong with chewing and eating. I know some people feel like it's a waste because you literally paid a lot of money for it. But like I said, it's a luxury. It's a luxury habit. It's not like something that you really need. You can live without clay. Like you can literally survive without it. But if it's like an expensive habit, why not chew it and spit it out? Especially if you have anemia, and so you can focus on worrying about your health and fixing what's going on with you, and just finding something that works for you, how to manage your cravings and how to make sure you get your health back to where it needs to be. The whole point here is to find a balance for your health and your cravings. So I remember reading a post where one of these women in one of these groups mentioned that she found parasites. I don't know, I think it was parasites or worms in her clay. So that was definitely new. I've never heard of that before, but that you know raised an alarm and kind of got me into researching more about that. So, eating dirt can expose you to parasites, bacteria, and toxic heavy metals, right? So, dirt that contains a lot of potassium could lead to high blood potassium, increasing your risk for cardiac arrhythmia or cardiac arrest. So, this is something definitely to take into consideration. So, clay is not food, it's just a expensive habit, expensive luxury. It's not something that it's not, you can live without it, right? You can survive without it. It's not that big of a deal. But definitely there are people that are definitely addicted to this point. So it's easy to just tell someone, oh, you don't have to eat it. You have to eat it this way. But I feel like experience will teach you enough to know how to manage your cravings. And some people, you know, for some people, it might be too late because somehow their health might just deteriorate. So it's, I don't know, just go with your strengths. If you can take advice from someone who's been there, it's good. That's always the best option. But having to experience, health complications and then finally having to figure out how to manage is actually harder. So best to take advice and then, just avoid the complications that come with that. All right, so I think I'll just end it on constipation, and definitely I'll do more and more research about clay. So another thing is constipation, right? So constipation is a common side effect for soil consumption. So an intestinal obstruction or perforation is also possible, though these side effects are somewhat less common. One thing I've noticed is that I've also, like, but this was years back, I've also experienced constipation and constantly, until it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I didn't know that clay could like really give you really bad constipation, and you cannot have that day in and day out. Like every day you will actually start harming your body and all that stuff. So if you've noticed, this is one thing I've seen, if you've noticed that you're now getting constipation, that means you're actually taking a lot of, like, you're taking in a lot of clay. Because if you're just having a little bit of at a time, you will not going to experience that kind of constipation. But the fact that you're now getting to a point where you're constipated, that means that's a red flag and you have taken more than your body needed. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you guys will look into this. Clay addiction is a real thing. It's really a real thing. And I feel like being around women that also love clay could be a good thing and a bad thing, because at the end of the day, it's like, are you helping each other make sure you make healthy choices for this addiction, or you're just encouraging each other and you're just enjoying the fact that you have somebody you can relate to and someone who can comfort you through that, through your addiction, and enable you to continue your addiction. So if you can see that you're heavily addicted to clay, you might want to be around somebody that knows how to manage their clay. Like, I feel like that's good advice. Just go to someone that you can see, okay, how come, they're managing well, and I want to know how I can also, have a clay addiction and as well as manage it so that my health doesn't deteriorate. And, I'm not always at the doctor. I'm not always, having to take tons and tons of medication just because I can't manage my addiction. So I will do a whole lot more research and bring you more content about clay so that we can understand and we can also make really good choices so that we can enjoy life and also enjoy a balanced life, and not think that clay is like this thing that we really need to, like, in, I don't know, clay that, I don't want us to think that we cannot live without clay. It's just a luxury. It's not that big of a deal, like I've said over and over again. So yeah, I just want to learn more and educate more as I go. So thank you guys for listening to this podcast. I know it was nice and short, but hey, only I know we can only take so much, and this is only just a little bit of information that I could bring to you in this episode, but there will definitely be more and more and more to come. So till next time, till the next podcast, take care. Bye, guys.